In this video, you're going to hear about something that was never meant to be found, a piece of audio so haunting that investigators refused to release it to the public. It's said to capture the final moments of Yu Menglong, the beloved actor whose mysterious death still leaves fans speechless. You'll learn what was on that audio, what happened seconds before the lights went out, and why experts now believe Yu Menglong might have known he was being watched in his final hours. Stay with me till the end, because once you hear what was captured on that recording, you'll never think of his death the same way again. When news of Yu Menglong's death first broke, the internet froze. Fans across Asia couldn't process it. An actor known for his calm charm and gentle smile was suddenly gone, and the official report didn't sit right with anyone. But what no one knew then was that a secret recording existed, a voice note, believed to be from his phone, that captured the last 5 minutes before the lights went out in his private studio apartment. The recording was discovered by accident. A week after his death, a sound engineer who had worked with Yu Menglong on a web drama soundtrack visited his old studio to back up some unfinished files. While scrolling through a folder labeled draft_voice_memos, he found one final entry. It was dated the same night Yu Menglong died. Its name was simple: test_0211. When he pressed play, he expected background noise, maybe a melody test or vocal line. But instead, he heard breathing. Shaky, uneven, like someone trying not to cry. And then, faintly, a whisper, Yu Menglong's voice. "If anything happens tonight, don't believe what they say." The engineer froze. He replayed it, certain it was a joke, maybe an old script rehearsal. But the voice trembled with real fear. It wasn't a performance, it was a confession. Once the file surfaced, it spread quietly among Yu Menglong's close circle. His agency tried to suppress it, insisting it was a deepfake audio manipulation. But 3 days later, an anonymous source leaked a short 13-second snippet online, enough to confirm its authenticity. The background hum matched the acoustics of his personal recording room, the one he used often for voice training. Fans recognized the subtle echo instantly. The clip went viral across the dark corners of the internet before being wiped. But thousands had already heard it. In that 13-second clip, Yu's voice was soft, frightened, and filled with confusion. You could hear him muttering, as if talking to someone off camera. "Who's there? Why are you doing this?" Then came the sound of something metallic falling, like a mic stand tipping over, followed by heavy breathing. Then, silence. Investigators, at first, dismissed it as a coincidence. But the timestamps matched the window of his last known activity, between 10:52 p.m. and 11:03 p.m., just before his apartment's lights went out, according to the building's power log. And here's where the story gets darker. According to the forensic report, Yu Menglong had returned home around 9:40 p.m. that night. Security footage showed him entering the elevator with a takeaway meal and a backpack. He looked tired, wearing a dark hoodie, head slightly bowed. By 10:20 p.m., his building neighbors heard faint sounds, muffled arguing, followed by what one described as furniture being dragged. At 10:51 p.m., all sounds stopped. But the power outage, curiously, happened only in his unit. A technician confirmed later that someone had manually switched the circuit breaker inside the apartment off. That means whoever was inside did it intentionally. So, what did the full audio reveal? According to a confidential transcription obtained by a source close to the investigation, the recording began with Yu humming softly, possibly testing his mic. Then, around the 30-second mark, a sudden loud knock echoed in the background. Yu paused. His breathing quickened. "Who's at the door?" he muttered. "It's late." Another knock. This time harder. He sighed, stood up. You could hear his chair scraping the floor and footsteps approaching the door. The mic kept recording. "Wait, how did you get in here?" Then silence. Then a faint shuffle, like someone stepping closer. "Please, don't do this," Yu said. A sharp noise, maybe a scuffle, maybe a fall. Then Yu's voice again, trembling. "You can't hide this forever, people will find out." Then, static. The rest of the audio is distorted, as if the recording device fell to the ground. But near the end, investigators enhanced the sound and heard something chilling, faint sobbing. It lasted for nearly 40 seconds before the recording abruptly cut off. When fragments of this audio surfaced, social media exploded. Theories flew everywhere. Some said Yu was being blackmailed, others believed he was involved in an artistic controversy that went too far. But one thing was certain, this wasn't the calm, serene Yu Menglong fans knew. This was someone in genuine fear. The hashtag #YouMenglongLastAudio began trending within hours, reaching millions of reposts before being systematically scrubbed. Posts disappeared mid-refresh. Accounts that shared the file were shadowbanned or deleted. The silence felt deliberate. Meanwhile, the engineer who discovered the audio went missing for 2 days. When he resurfaced, he claimed he had been questioned for evidence tampering and refused to speak further. His online presence vanished completely after that. What investigators found next made everything more complicated. A small digital recorder, separate from his phone, was discovered in Yu Menglong's personal drawer during a follow-up inspection. The file on it had been deleted, but a data recovery specialist retrieved fragments. Those fragments matched the same timestamp as the phone recording, meaning there were 2 devices capturing the same night from different positions. In the second audio, you could faintly hear what sounded like a second voice, deeper, calm, barely audible. The words weren't clear, but lip readers who analyzed the security footage of the hallway claimed you had let someone he knew into the apartment shortly before everything happened. Could it have been a close friend? A colleague? Or someone sent to silence him? At exactly 11:02 p.m., building surveillance showed something inexplicable. The lights in Yu Menglong's apartment flickered violently before shutting off. Residents described seeing a brief flash through his balcony glass, like a camera flash or an electrical surge. When maintenance checked the power the next morning, the fuses were intact. No signs of damage. Yet all devices in his living area were unplugged except one, the microphone. The MIC was still connected to his audio interface, which had an auto-record feature that saves files even after sudden power loss. That's how the last 5 minutes were preserved. But what's stranger is this: according to digital analysis, the recording continued for 37 seconds after the lights went out. Which means Yu Menglong was still alive, and aware, during total darkness. And those final seconds? They were the most heartbreaking. "It's cold. Please don't go," he whispered. Then, sobbing, soft, restrained. "Finally, tell them I tried." Then, nothing. When the media caught wind of this audio, the official narrative shifted. Statements from his management labeled it a malicious fabrication. Yet independent forensic labs confirmed the waveform patterns and frequency spectrum matched Yu's voice 99.7%. No AI manipulation detected. Still, every major platform began taking down the files citing privacy violations. The agency warned of severe legal consequences for anyone distributing the recording. But by then, it had already spread through encrypted chat groups, archived by fans who refused to let his voice be erased. Rumors began circulating that Yu Menglong had been working on a confidential project, one involving sensitive cultural materials that had been abruptly cancelled weeks before his death. Some fans claimed his final words, "Tell them I tried," referred to that unfinished project, one he said would expose everything wrong in the system. Was it a metaphor? Or a warning? Several insiders spoke anonymously, saying Yu had been under pressure before his death. He had complained of being followed, and once confided that his calls were being recorded. The audio, they believed, was his last attempt to document what was happening, to leave evidence behind in case something went wrong. Forensic technicians also noticed another anomaly. Just before the end of the file, a faint clicking sound occurred at irregular intervals. Audio experts identified it as a frequency jammer, a small device that interferes with recording signals. Meaning, someone in that room might have tried to erase what was being captured in real time. But the MIC's system was hardwired, not wireless. The interference only partially worked, leaving behind distorted remnants instead of complete silence. That's why the crying, the breath, and those final whispers survived. It's almost poetic, the truth resisting erasure. Hearing Yu Menglong's trembling voice for the first time changed everything for fans. It humanized his fear, his isolation, and his silent fight. Listeners described the audio as unbearably painful, with one comment reading, "He wasn't just scared, he sounded betrayed." Several audio engineers who reviewed the file independently noticed a moment around 2 minutes in where Yu seems to say, "I trusted you." The background sound at that moment resembled quiet footsteps retreating. The idea that someone he knew, someone close, might have been there shattered his fandom. Overnight, tribute pages flooded the internet, candles and letters, fans begging for justice and transparency. But every official report stayed the same: accidental death by unknown cause. No follow-up. No second investigation. Months later, a mysterious user uploaded a high-quality version of the full audio to an encrypted server. It included additional seconds previously unheard, the soft click of a door closing, then a mechanical hum, like a camera turning off. Within 48 hours, the server was taken down. But a handful of journalists had already downloaded it. They confirmed the final phrase was slightly longer than the leaked snippet. The uncut line was, "Tell them I tried to keep the light on." The symbolic weight of that sentence reignited the story worldwide. Fans interpreted it as his last stand, a message to keep searching for the truth, to not let his legacy be dimmed. To this day, Yu Menglong's old studio remains locked. The new tenants reportedly refused to use that particular room, claiming they felt a strange heaviness inside, like someone was still there. Some said that if you stood quietly, you could hear faint tapping noises from the wall. An investigative journalist once sneaked in during a documentary shoot. She described finding small scratches near the mic stand, as though someone had gripped it tightly, struggling. The recording equipment had been replaced, but the interface still showed one unsaved session in its memory log, timestamped 11:03 p.m., the same moment everything went dark. Coincidence? Or a digital ghost refusing to vanish? And maybe that's what Yu Menglong meant when he said, "Tell them I tried to keep the light on." Maybe he wasn't just talking about himself, but about truth, art, and the fight to be heard even in silence. What we know for certain is that somewhere out there, a recording still exists, the raw, unedited version of his last moments. The one that might finally explain everything that happened the night the lights went out. But until that day comes, the world will keep asking the same question. Who was in that room with Yu Menglong, and why did he sound so afraid? Do you think the audio was real? Was Yu warning someone, or recording evidence against them? And who do you believe was behind that door the night the lights went out? What most people don't know is that the audio file labeled test_0211 wasn't just one simple recording. It was layered, meaning Yu Menglong might have been recording over older files, stacking fragments from previous days. And that discovery changed everything. When the engineer who found the file played it for the 10th time, he noticed something faint beneath Yu's trembling voice, an echo that didn't belong. A soft rhythmic clicking sound, like someone tapping their fingernails on metal. When that section was slowed down by audio experts, what they uncovered was horrifying: the faint sound of another voice, whispering his name. Not loud, not clear, but undeniably human. "Menglong, stop talking." Those words, though almost drowned in static, sent chills down every investigator's spine. The whisper wasn't his, the tone, the pitch, and the rhythm all belonged to someone else. Someone standing close to the microphone, someone right there with him during those final minutes. The analysis was carried out using frequency separation technology, and when the background layers were enhanced, more unsettling details emerged. There were two distinct sets of breathing patterns. Yu's breathing, shallow, emotional, and inconsistent, was coming from the left audio channel. But another, steadier breathing, lower and rhythmic, was faintly audible on the right channel. That meant only one thing: he was not alone. The engineer's report described it best. The second breathing appears calm, almost controlled, as though observing rather than participating. In simpler terms, someone was watching him break down, and possibly recording himself. Experts recreated the moment using advanced studio reconstruction. The position of the microphone, the sound direction, and echo reflections from his voice suggested Yu was sitting near his desk when the unknown person entered from behind. He might have turned his head toward the door, realizing someone was there too late. The most heartbreaking part? You can hear him try to steady his voice. As if he knew his recording was still running, as if he wanted to leave a trace of truth. "Please, just leave," he said, his tone barely above a whisper. Then, a pause. A dragging sound, like footsteps across carpet. The faint hum of an electronic device follows, possibly a phone or a camera turning on. And then Yu's words again, quivering with restrained panic. "You can't do this to me, not after what you promised." Those were the last clear words before the chaos. When that segment leaked to a small private Telegram group of fans, the response was explosive. People slowed it down, reversed it, even spectroanalyzed it, and what they found made everything worse. At the precise second where the metallic crash occurs, a split second of distortion revealed a reflection waveform identical to another voice recording, one that had been previously uploaded by an unknown source to a dark web archive titled Light Sequence 11.03. That file was supposedly deleted, but fragments of it had been preserved by data archivists. When experts compared both recordings, they matched perfectly down to the final second. Someone, somewhere, had access to both sides of the same moment, Yu's microphone inside his apartment, and another device recording from outside it. But the real shock came days later, when an anonymous whistleblower sent a message to one of the few journalists still daring to cover the story. The message contained coordinates and one sentence. "Check the electricity logs." The lights didn't go out, they were cut manually. When those records were obtained, they confirmed what the original investigators had hinted at but buried in the final report. At 11:02 p.m., someone physically flipped the breaker switch in Yu Menglong's unit. The motion sensor detected it. That meant the blackout wasn't a random power surge. It was deliberate. So why would anyone do that? Experts say the power cut served two purposes. First, to disorient the room and shut off visible evidence like lights or cameras, and second, to silence any connected recording devices. But what they didn't realize was that Yu's microphone had its own built-in power source. So even in total darkness, it kept recording right up to the last moment. When investigators isolated the last 30 seconds, the atmosphere in the room was pure dread. There was no music, no ambient sound, just stillness. Then, a faint rustling. Papers shifting. A chair creaking. And then, his voice again. "I'm sorry. I just wanted to tell the truth." He sounded weak. Drained. As though he knew whatever was coming couldn't be stopped. Then came the sound of soft crying, quiet, exhausted sobs, like someone holding everything in until their last breath. Audio experts later described it as the most human sound of fear ever captured. He cried for 43 seconds. Then, one last breath, followed by a sound so subtle most people missed it. A door closing. Slowly. Almost respectfully. And then, nothing. The next morning, neighbors reported seeing a faint light flickering from his balcony at dawn. Police later found that his desk lamp, which had been unplugged the previous night, was somehow turned on when they entered the room. There were no signs of forced entry, no fingerprints on the breaker, and no trace of the other person's presence. But one thing they couldn't explain, the microphone, which should have powered off hours earlier, was still on. Its small LED indicator glowed faintly red, still recording, still listening, as if refusing to die until someone finally found the truth. The recovered file was later analyzed by a third-party forensic lab in Tokyo. Their conclusion was chilling. The noise floor in the final seconds contained ultra-low frequency pulses, the kind produced by older analog jamming devices. That meant someone had tried to erase the recording in real time, disrupting the data stream. But the attempt failed halfway. That's why his last words, and his tears, survived. By the time this information leaked, public curiosity turned into full-blown obsession. Fans began creating waveform visuals, syncing them with CCTV timelines, even theorizing who the second voice might belong to. One pattern stood out. Every time you said something emotional, the background voice whispered a single word, quiet. It was almost as if someone was trying to control him in his own home. And the most spine-chilling part? When the full-length, uncut version was released anonymously for just 12 hours before being deleted again, at the 4-minute 32-second mark, a faint reflection of a ringtone could be heard. A single note, repeated twice. For tech experts, that sound matched an old model of pager phones, the kind no longer in use, except by private security agencies. Was Yu Menglong's final night linked to something far bigger than anyone imagined? By now, what began as a tragic death had evolved into one of the most analyzed cases in Chinese entertainment history. Fans across continents tried decoding the meaning of his last words. "Tell them I tried to keep the light on." Some said it meant he fought until the very end to protect his truth. Others believed it was a message to his fans to never let his memory fade. But a smaller, more unsettling theory began circulating. That light referred not to hope, but to evidence. Something he kept hidden, something worth silencing him for. Investigators reportedly found a damaged USB device inside his drawer labeled light_data. It was unreadable. But the device name matched an encrypted file name found months earlier on the dark web, one that vanished shortly after being uploaded. To this day, no one has been able to recover it. And yet, if you listen closely to the end of that haunting recording, just before the audio fades out completely, there's a soft clicking sound identical to the one at the beginning of the file. It's as if the microphone was turned on, and then off again. The circle completes itself. The beginning was the end. The end was the beginning. Even now, those who've heard the full version say it feels like being trapped in a moment frozen in time, a man's last attempt to speak, to prove something, to survive the darkness. And somehow, through the static, he still whispers. His voice isn't just a recording. It's a message. A haunting echo that says, don't let them rewrite it. Because even after the lights went out, Yu Menglong's voice never did. If this continuation gave you chills, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel, because we're diving deeper into the mystery of Yu Menglong's final days, and trust me, what comes next will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. Now I want to hear from you. Do you believe someone was in the room with him that night? What do you think you meant by keeping the light on? And who do you think was behind the voice that whispered his name? Drop your theories and thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading through every single one. Until next time, keep listening carefully. The truth always speaks, even from the dark.